Hey there folks, I'm Joshua Orro, the Mustang Prince, and welcome to Mustang Prince Oral Reports. Now today, we're going back to the Bible again. In the past, I've talked about many Bible-related stories, like Son of God, which told the story of Jesus' death, the Prince of Egypt, which was an animated version of the story of Moses, and of course, the crippled lamb, which was the story of Jesus' birth through the eyes of a young lamb. And I hear there's going to be a new version of Jesus' birth coming to theaters this Christmas. But anyway, today I'm going to be talking about a different kind of Bible story that takes place way before Jesus. Heck, even before Moses. I'm sure you guys are familiar with the Genesis story of Joseph. It's the story of a young man who was sold into slavery by his jealous brothers, and later he rose to become vizier and second most powerful man in Egypt next to Pharaoh, where his presence and office caused Israel to leave Canaan and settle in Egypt. Now, like many Bible stories, Joseph's story has been adapted many times. For example, there was a 1995 TV-made film produced by Turner Network Entertainment, and in 1970, Andrew Lloyd Webber and Tim Rice made a musical version of Joseph called Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, which later became a straight-to-video film in 1999, which starred Donny Osmond as Joseph. Speaking of which, my friends at Musical Theater Village are going to perform this fantastic musical starting this weekend. And also I hear that Elton John's Rocket Pictures is going to produce an animated version of this show in the future. Speaking of animation, today I'm going to take a look at an animated adaptation of the Joseph story that was given to us by Dreamworks. Released a video and DVD on November 7th, 2000. The movie is Joseph, King of Dreams. Now, let's get started. When Joseph receives a beautiful coat from his parents, his brothers become more jealous of him and are driven to sell him to desert merchants who take him to Egypt. There, he is made the servant of a wealthy Egyptian who misunderstands him and has him thrown into prison. He shows his God-given gift by interpreting the dreams of two other prisoners. Eventually, the Pharaoh begins to be plagued by dreams and sends for Joseph, who interprets them and saves Egypt in the process. He is made second in command to Pharaoh and has most of Egypt's grain stored. Eventually, his brothers arrive in Egypt to buy food because of the famine, and he must forgive them. Then the dreams he has, angered his brothers were in reality prophecies that had come from God. So, what are my thoughts on this movie? Well, gotta say, it may not be as good as The Prince of Egypt, but it's still pretty decent to watch. But let's move on to Mustang notes. Now, this movie has had a complicated history behind the scenes. While the script was being fleshed out, Paul Duncan, the head background painter, and Brian Andrews, the story artist, were creating some phenomenal conceptual artwork. Francisco Avalos and Nasos Vakilis were doing storyboards based on a rough story outline. Also, a major shift occurred after an early screening of the film, which had a negative reception from studio executives. The focus shifted from disjointed set pieces to a character-driven story based on believable motivations. Composer Daniel Pelfrey said that the film was designed as a companion piece to Prince of Egypt. Joseph turned out to be very different than Prince of Egypt. Nevertheless, it was very challenging and rewarding. Now, what are my thoughts on the animation? Well, to me, This style of hand-drawn animation is absolutely magnificent. It almost makes me think of the other hand-drawn animated films made by Dreamworks, like The Prince of Egypt, along with Road to El Dorado, Spirit, Stallion of the Cimarron, and Sinbad, Legend of the Seven Seas. Also, I think this film is a lot better than the two films that Dreamworks has released this year. Anyway, I just like how Canaan and Egypt is drawn out in this movie. However, the scenes where the animation is at its best is during Joseph's dreams and when he interprets them. Now, here's where we come to the songs in this movie. Now, I'll only be talking about 4 of them since I don't want to spoil too much of it, though. The first song is called Miracle Child, which is sung by Jacob and Rachel while Joseph grows up. And after receiving his dream coat, Joseph gets a verse at the end of the song. The second song is called Bloom, sung by Rachel. And in my opinion, this is a really beautiful song. And what's more, it gets a beautiful reprise sung by Joseph's wife, Osanoth. But my favorite song in this movie is Better Than I, sung by Joseph while he grows a tree in prison and remembers his time in Canaan before he was sold into slavery. The last song I want to talk about is More Than You Take, sung by Joseph and Osanoth while they help gather crops for rationing in order to prepare for the famine. Anyway, now that we're done with Mustang notes, animation, and songs, let's talk about the characters and their voice actors. Our main character, Joseph, is voiced by Ben Affleck, best known as Batman from Batman v Superman. And he will be in the upcoming Justice League movie this fall. According to the Bible, Joseph was gifted with seemingly strange dreams and the ability to interpret them. What I like about Joseph is that he's highly intelligent and reliable. He's also hardworking when he's in slavery, and he's very helpful while helping the people prepare for the upcoming famine. Next we have Joseph's 10 older brothers. In my opinion, the one who sticks out the most is Judah, voiced by Mark Hamill. Best known as Luke Skywalker from the Star Wars franchise, which is getting an 8th installment this December. He's also done roles as the Joker from Batman the Animated Series and Batman Beyond: Return of the Joker, including Hayao Miyazaki's The Castle in the Sky, and of course Master Ericus in Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep. The other brothers who have speaking roles are Simeon and Issachar, voiced by Steven Weber and Jess Harnell. Anyway, these guys start out jealous towards Joseph due to the fact that Joseph is treated by Jacob as a miracle child from God, while they have to work in the fields and sweating. But 20 years after they sold Joseph into slavery, they suffered with guilt and regret. Joseph's youngest brother, Benjamin, is voiced by Matt Levin. Now, to be honest, Benjamin only appears near the end of the film. When Joseph first meets Benjamin, he frames him by sneaking his goblet into his sack in order to get revenge on his brothers, until they offer to sacrifice themselves to save Benjamin. Next is Joseph's father, Jacob, voiced by Richard Hurd. In the movie, he is shown to be very loving, but also very protective of his younger sons, like when he rescued Joseph from a wolf in the fields. He's also very smart, and he knows many different languages, including Egyptian. Joseph's mother, Rachel, is voiced by American singer and Broadway actress Maureen McGovern. In my opinion, Rachel is a sweet and gentle woman. Plus, her singing voice is just so beautiful. Later in the film, she died of childbirth, giving birth to Benjamin, after Joseph was sold into slavery and taken to Egypt. Next is Joseph's love interest, Asenath, voiced by Ariel herself, Jodie Benson, who has also been in Don Bluth's Thumbelina, Disney's Enchanted, the Toy Story sequels, and of course The Crippled Lamb, which I already blogged last Christmas. Anyway, Asenath is a sweet-hearted woman and is always there for Joseph. She first took a liking to Joseph after he calmed her cat Kia down with a bowl of milk. While Joseph was in prison, Asenath has been bringing food to him. I also like that she tries to help Joseph through his personal struggle in the later parts of the movie, such as when he discovered that his brothers have arrived in Egypt. Next we have Asenath's uncle and Joseph's master, Potiphar, voiced by James Akehouse. Best known for playing Jim Walsh on Beverly Hills 90210. Potiphar treats Joseph kindly at first, and is a good master to his slaves. He is a bit gullible, and seems to be quite self-strict, as he focuses a lot of his attention on keeping his reputation clean. Potiphar's wife, Zuleika, is voiced by two-time Tony Award winner Judith Light. This character may seem beautiful, but in reality, she's a nasty character. She tries to seduce Joseph, and when that fails, she spitefully lies to her husband that Joseph was the one who tried to harm her. However, she does have some mercy and pity, because when Joseph was about to be put to death, she intervened, and at least saved him from death, but Potiphar still threw him into prison anyway. We also have Pharaoh's butler and baker, voiced by Reen Abu-Joyous and Ken Campbell. These two are Joseph's cellmates while he's in prison. Like in the Bible, they've had dreams that Joseph interprets. The butler's dream shows a grapevine, and he picks some and squeezes them into wine and serves it to Pharaoh, which meant that Pharaoh will set him free. However, the baker's dream isn't very pleasant. His dream shows him carrying baskets of bread, and he gets attacked by birds, which means that his execution was coming. Finally, we have Pharaoh himself, voiced by Richard McGonigal. In the film, the Pharaoh gets haunted by two dreams, one that involves healthy and sickly cattle, and one that involves corn and withered grain. When Potiphar brings Joseph to the palace, Joseph tells Pharaoh that 7 years of plenty were coming, which will be followed by 7 years of famine. Impressed by the warning, the Pharaoh makes Joseph his number 2. And now, let's move on to my final words. Overall, Joseph King of Dreams is a pretty good animated adaptation of the Genesis story. Like Prince of Egypt, this film does have some story changes, but it makes up for it with its animation, which is magnificent. The characters from Joseph, Jacob, Potiphar, and Asenath are memorable. The brothers don't start out so great, but they are redeemable. Also, Pharaoh, along with his baker and butler, may have small roles, but they are important to the story. and the songs are just absolutely wonderful to listen to. This is definitely a must-watch if you'd like to watch a good Bible story, unlike the 2014 Noah film or the 2007 Ten Commandments. As for my final rating, well, I'll give Joseph a 94% out of 100. Now, before I go, I'd like to give you guys a heads up about Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, which will be performed at Musical Theater Village in Irvine, California. If you'd like to see the show, then I highly recommend you go to this link listed here for information on tickets. But you only have until August 20th to see it. Anyway, be sure to join me again for my next blog. Mustang Power!
Praise be to you, O Lord, God of our Father Israel, from everlasting to everlasting. Yours, O Lord, is the greatness, and the power, and the glory, majesty, splendor, for everything in heaven and earth is yours. Yours, O Lord, is the kingdom. You are exalted.